So let's make the design of the same bridge, but with a cutback in two options. Cutback for the layering of ceramic on all surfaces and cutback for the layering on a buckle side. We fill in lab order form, customer, patient, surname or number of lab order form, the technician, and comments about the work. Dentition, the same, we choose lower jaw as antagonist. Okay. Upper jaw, we can choose adjacent tooth as a adjacent healthy tooth. Tooth number 24 is abutment tooth, so we choose a crown coping. So we don't have the stage of the cutback in a full anatomy. And here we'll have this step number 7, cutback reduction. So the program initially has to know with a cutback step or without cutback step. Zirconia as material, okay. With a control, I will repeat the last action. Control, left mouse button, we click, and tooth number 25, we choose the same but from the Pontic field, and also with the cutback. Okay, also the program understood there'll be a bridge, so automatically it connected it together. Antagonists, two-stone model in occlusion, save, scanning, design. With control and a wheel, we remove what we don't need on the screen, the models, and we start to define the margin line. As I told you before, in each case we'll do more complex work and we'll add some more functions. Right now I want to show you how I make the editing of the work. I see that lower jaw was scanned with the area that I don't need for the design. It will be a disturbance for me. I can correct the model. For that we go to the expert mode. From the wizard mode we are going to the expert mode. We do the click and we are in the expert mode. In the free field we click with the right mouse button and we have tools of additional actions. Right now I want to edit meshes. I want to change 3D object. We see the appearing of the small window. We place the model aligned as we think. We click with the left mouse button, we can hold it and we move it. We connect with the first dot with a click of the first button and we press delete. So I remove this bottom. So we can remove any artifacts. So we hold the left mouse button, we connect with the first point, we click and delete. Left mouse button, click, delete. Left mouse button, click, delete. And OK. This is first step. Second, if I noticed that in the plaster model there is a void, I can close it with a Vox, I can use a spray and then scan it. Or what can we do? We can leave it like that before this scanning. Also there is special Vox for scanning, just not to spray it, but there is no need in it. I do differently. I, with the right mouse button, place a cursor, I correct scans, and we have a small window where we can choose like design any size of the brush. I take the knife edge, so let's try to simulate the void and just imagine that we have to close it. It's very important to understand how we can do that. If I hold the left mouse button, I add the material. So I edit the material and we can above try to increase the volume of the whole stamp and it will be correct. I press OK. Would be incorrect if we, when we were filling the void, decided to smoothen the whole stamp, because in that situation the geometry of the stamp would be different and the sitting of the restoration would be different. So we have to fill in the void only with the adding. Click, click, let it be more cement. So there is no harm in that. We press OK. You can take notice that we have small artifacts on the plaster. It tells us that either scanning was made with an old device. It couldn't scan the plaster surface, or the model was wet, or it was too much light during the scanning, creating these artifacts. It's not very good because it can influence the sitting of the restoration on the model or in the mouth. So it's better to get even this flat surface without any distortions along the stamp. Also, if you increase the borders, you can see the serrated area. It's not very good because the borders could be with gaps, or it will be overhangs. So during the scanning, it's very important to pay a lot of attention to the high quality scanning of the stamps. If you can live with it on antagonist or adjacent teeth, but you couldn't leave these things during the scanning of the stamps, you have to control it. So first of all, when I open any live work that was scanned, first of all, I'm going to the expert mode and I try to see whether there are voids or any kind of distortions. If it exists, we have to do rescanning. We have to scan again. If it's okay for me, more or less, I remove the excess elements. Of course, we can do it during this scanning, but for me it's more convenient to do it here. I repeat, I just tell you my recommendations and you decide whether to use them or not. So I made two minimal actions. I cut the model and I closed the void, and I'm going back to the wizard mode. We click with left mouse button on the finish line of the tooth. Everything is okay here for me, but if we want to change it, we can click correct draw. We go to the area here, and with left mouse button we can correct the finish line area. If we clicked on the zone with left mouse button, we see the appearance of the new dot. So also the same way we can remove it. We place the cursor on the dot, so we press left button, then right. So left, right, and it will disappear. When we remove the dots, the borders are changing, so we can't remove a lot of dots. We click and we move. Click, move. Click, move. Also, there is possibility to move the whole border according to the height with a set that are present here. So we can move the whole line. Also, we can press clear to choose the function draw, and with a holding the mouse button, clicking, we can make our own finish line. We can draw it. So on different steps we have to do clicks, but usually the program automatically follows the finish line. If we want to switch off the auto correction, we can choose here. We remove the tick in the box and we keep on clicking, following the finish line border. But it makes sense only when the finish line is not clearly visible and we have to manually draw it. Right now the finish line is very nicely visible. It's very clear for us. So I undo everything, I clear it, and we go to the first step and we just click with the left mouse button and the program finds the finish line border and we press next. The same action with the tooth number 26. We click next. I just remind you, remember the golden rule: in any situation that is not clear for you, just press next. Cement gap, the same is here. I'm doing for the bridge 50 microns more or less. The cementless area we rise a little bit on the axial walls, and here I will show you what should you do if there is different form of the finish line. I could use these parameters for the tooth number 6, but if we take a look at the premolar, but in some areas maybe this cementless, this gapless area became very high, so we go into the expert again. So gradually we started to learn how to use the expert mode. I can click on each tooth separately with the right mouse button. Here I can choose the bottom of the restoration and just choose the customized parameters. If there'll be several teeth, with the control and left mouse button I can just try to select these teeth and go, and with the control left mouse button I will try to work with these teeth I selected. When we corrected this cement gap individually, I go to the wizard again and we're not touching it anymore. Overhangs, the same. I will try to remove them to the minimum because the bridge is not very big, so the chance that will be some kind of breakage, it's very small. I don't want to use manual working with the microscope trying to roll it up in the margins. I don't want to do that because there is bigger chance for the breakage because I decrease the size in the cervical area, but I don't think there will be any problems here. One more trick. Exact tries to find the correct path of insertion of the crown on the tooth, but you see it's different because the program found the path of insertion for each tooth separately. We click on the free field with the right mouse button and we choose the path of insertion, so the axis of insertion. So we have to check the path of insertion on the stamp. Right now we have teeth 24, 26, but they're in the bridge. But the program initially knew about that, but it tries to do the individual path of insertion. But we have to let program know that there are two teeth in the bridge. So we click on tooth 24 and 26. Right now, the program just connected these two teeth in one restoration. And right now it shows us undercuts if they're present. Because the work was very nicely prepared because it's a demo model, so we don't see them, but in a live model we'll see undercuts quite often. So we have to choose the optimal line of insertion. It's important that red zones wouldn't be on the borders and the amount of the red area would be minimal. You can do it all the time, but trying to choose 50-50, some average position. Like here, it's okay for me. So I press on the left side. Set current view as insertion axis, and I have this path of insertion for the bridge. So this bridge would, without any problem, would be fixed. In the upper part, we can go here with a subgroup. See, for example, the three bridges. For example, first bridge 24 to 6. The second bridge would be, for example, between 1, 2 and 2, 2. Here I have to go in the list to the tooth 2, 2 and connect it with the tooth 1, 2, so we can move it in groups. We press OK. There, you see, we have the mutual axis of insertion, so we can press the whole dental arch. So we can just press and put the tick in the box one time. So we have the mutual path of insertion. So we changed the path of insertion. Two arrows are in one line here right now. That's it. Then we press next. Mirroring step we'll just skip. I'll show it in the next case. So with the Ctrl and the left mouse button, we rotate. Shift, only Shift will decrease the size. But there's also an interesting combination. If I hold together Ctrl and Shift, I can stretch the tooth in one area, and you can do it like that. So we can make it bigger or smaller. I repeat, we spend maximum time for the setup step. We have to check it according to the antagonists. We press next. Then we'll go to the next step, detailed design. The program cut everything on the finish line and pulled the bridge to the stamps. So here it's the same. We can, with the tooth buds, just try to move ridges and cusps. Even if it's a bridge, each crown has to have an effect of the single individual crowns. So this kind of inflows has to be excluded. We have to make design of the bridge, but for the ceramic layering. So we'll do in one project 2 options just to save our time. Also, can we change the axis of the tooth? As you can see, very good. We press cut all intersections. Also, we go to the freeform, knife edge. We have to cut excesses. We remove everything we don't need. So our main goal is to have minimum interferences to the full anatomy, to adapt it quickly according to the occlusion, according to the form, according to the contact with adjacent teeth. Also, we can add a little bit on the cervical area and remove the excesses with the Ctrl Shift. With the left mouse button we add, with the Ctrl Shift we remove. We can make the semi-transparent plaster model with the Shift and Wheel. Ctrl Shift will switch on the model again. Ctrl Wheel will switch off the model. We smoothen everything out. Smoothing. So keep on smoothing once again. Ctrl Wheel switch on the model. Ctrl Shift Wheel switch off the model. So we make bridge once again quite quickly. And we can make compression from the cervical part of the pontic to the soft tissue. We press next. We're going to the step of cutback. To make the reduction of the full anatomy and to transform it to the framework, we don't have to touch anything because the default settings are quite correct. But please take notice on the depth, first parameter, because it shows what will be the shrinking here. If it will be the zirconia framework, we will leave 0.08, 0.6, 0.8 mm. If it's for the PFM, I will increase it to 1.2, 1.4 millimeters. Just then press next. If we are making the framework for the layering, it was very important during the design of the full anatomy to make the correct setup and correct occlusion and correct proportions of the teeth, because according to this form the framework would be done. The better you will place the full anatomy, the quicker you'll make the design of the proper framework. That's how it looks like. It's quite sharp. On this step we have to smoothen it out and to flatten it a little bit. So we go into the from anatomy to the freeform. I choose the brush. You can choose different strength, different size. I showed you how to move, increase and decrease here in this mode. You can do it during the design. If I hold Shift and I'm turning wheel forward or backward, I'm changing the size. If I'm holding Ctrl and turning wheel, I'm changing the strength, strength of application of the material. So you don't have to click in the toolbox. So during the design, I can add. With Ctrl Shift, I can smooth. And holding wheel, I can turn it upwards, changing its strength. So I want to remove material quickly, if I want to increase the size and to smoothen it. All these actions I'm doing in a real time during the design. For this unit practice, you won't be able to remember everything. You'll be mixing, so you need several hours to make the design and to train. I call it also a play game. So you just several times doing it, adding, removing and smoothing. When I'm adding, removing and smoothing, I understand that I'm changing the initial size and proportion of the framework. That's why I'm trying to work at the same zone that the program gave me. Here you take notice, I edit, so I smoothen it but edit. So I didn't go too much from the size that the program gave to me, but made this crown more smooth. Here add, remove, add, smoothen, add, smoothen, add, smoothen, add, smoothen, add, smoothen it out. Circle area, you can choose either the zirconia will make contact with the soft tissues or make clearance, the gap for the ceramic. I prefer the contact with the zirconia of the soft tissues. So that's how I'm filling it in. All these transitions I'm doing also as smooth as possible. Tooth number 6, the same quite sharp areas. So I'm holding, clicking and smoothing. With left mouse button we do click and we smoothen it out. Adding, smoothing. So without changing proportions and sizes, I'm doing them more smooth. So dear friends, it will come with experience. Do not be afraid. I told you maximum 3 years and you'll succeed. Add, remove, smoothen. Red zone is a zone of minimal thickness. Even if you leave it like that and press next, the program will see this zone and fill it in itself. So do not be upset, but you have to control it visually anyway, just to understand where you have to fill in. So in general, working like that, we are creating the framework. We can switch on antagonists and take notice. We can switch on full anatomy. To make this screenshot for the ceramist, show to him what we've got. Here, what kind of step here. I made the control and I've seen it's a big step here. We take the instrument, part of the tooth or cusp, and stretch it a little bit, like this. So it's very important that the setup has to be correct, because it will be your reference during this stage of work. There is an option also to measure the distance to the antagonist. Let's look at the function ruler. On the right upper side, where is function save, we can save the project. We go to the tools right now and show contacts, show distances. Right now we don't need them, but later we'll talk how to work with them. In tools, we can choose ruler, measurement tool. Small window opens. You can move it, where I can with 2 clicks place 2 dots, dot A, dot B, and there is distance between them that is shown on the screen, and you can move it. We press this button and this will disappear. What I can do, I can make the measurement point A, point B. We can displace it and see from different angles. Maybe it's not very convenient, but this function we have to discuss anyway. First option, how to make the distance to the antagonist. Then we'll talk about other functions. When I don't need this measurement tool, I will close this tool icon. We press next. And we go into the connectors. Here is the same. With left mouse button we can displace them externally. It's okay for me, so I press next. With the minimal actions, yes. Before the finishing, we can choose freeform restorations. We press next. We go to the stage additional design. Here I can choose any brush and try to smoothen all the transitions that I don't like. Control Shift and release. Control Shift release. Control Shift release. If I need to do on connectors the depth, we can do Shift left mouse button, Shift left mouse button, add, smoothen, add, smoothen, add, smoothen. So like that. Before I send this work for the printing or mailing, you have to check what you've got. We press next. We press yes, and the project is finished. So let's press undo back. We'll go back to several steps. Before the stage of design. We press next, and we again on the step of the cutback. Last time I showed you how to make the cutback and make the framework for the layering of the ceramic on all sides. Let me show right now how to make the full anatomy with a partial cutback. For example, only on the buccal surface we have to press the tick in the box exclude selected parts, then we press mark all. The teeth will become blue color. You can make them semi-transparent, not transparent. Next, you'll see the small brush. With a holding shift and left mouse button, we can color, we can paint the areas that you want to make the cutback, that you want to reduce for the ceramic layering. There is a difference here between the pontic and the crown. For reference, we can switch on the plaster model. I'm going a little bit on the proximal area, but I'm keeping the cusp tip, the incisal edge, just during the movement of the jaw. We won't hit with the lower jaw the transition of ceramic to the zirconia and not have chipping. So we leave this protective facet. If we know all the movements and we check them, so we can make a small transition to the incisal edge. This is more important for anterior teeth, just to make the translucent incisal edge. But I recommend you not to risk and to leave the zirconia facet on this area. So we leave this protective facet, protective area. With the help of the wheel and a holding shift, we can regulate the width of the brush, its size. If we want to remove back, then we release the shift, and with left mouse button we paint it. We press next, and the program, according to the thickness that we made, for example here 0.8 millimeters, will make this cutback for the layering of the ceramic. So we have this beautiful form of the cutback. Here we can additionally work smoothing the edges, but I don't recommend to interfere here, because you can interfere on the proximal zones or on the transition area. If it would be anterior teeth, we could draw small mamelons. With the shift I'm deepening it, and here I'm adding. Adding, removing. And as you wish, you can draw any form. We press next, and also we go to the step connectors. With the left mouse button we stretch them, but if you want to do more customized design, we can press freeform. We see different points for the movement in all three planes. Personally, I'm using these points very rarely, so I press next. We go to the freeform restorations, next, and we're going back on the correction step, where take the brush, and all these transitions I will work on them manually. Add, smooth, add, smooth, add, smooth. Try not to go to the occlusal surface, because you won't have step of the adaptation of occlusal contacts, because you had to do it on the previous steps. So we finished. Next, and save.